We have arrived at one of the most fascinating and most debated sections of the entire book. Patanjali lists, one after another, the extraordinary powers that, in his view, blossom in a mind that is completely gathered. These are capacities that border on the miraculous. We will listen to them with curiosity, but also with the same care with which he presents them. Because, and we say this now, at the end of this list Patanjali will give us a decisive warning. These marvels are not the goal, and they can become the final trap. The tool is always the same. Total integration, the threefold concentration, turned toward a precise object. Sutra 3:17. By distinguishing, through total integration, word, meaning, and idea, one comes to understand the language of all living beings. We usually confuse three things: the sound of a word, what it means, and the idea it evokes. By turning total integration toward this distinction, says Patanjali, one arrives at understanding the sense of every living expression, even the cries of animals. It is a profound insight. Behind every sound there is an intention, a meaning, and a mind gathered enough can grasp it directly, beyond words. This is the root of all true understanding, listening not to the sounds, but to what they want to say. Sutra 3:18. By observing one's own deep traces, one comes to know one's own past. Within us lie deposited the traces of everything we have lived, subtle imprints that shape who we are. By turning total integration toward these traces, says Patanjali, one can travel back into one's own past, even, according to the tradition, into previous lives. Beyond whatever interpretation one gives this, the message is precious. Our history is written inside us, and a gathered mind can read it, can understand where our tendencies and our knots come from. Knowing one's roots is the first step toward loosening them. Sutra 3:19. By resting attention on the signs of another's mind, one comes to know its state. A very gathered mind, says Patanjali, can perceive the inner state of another person by reading its subtle signs. This is an extreme form of the empathy we all know. Those who truly love us often understand how we are feeling before we have said a word. Carried to its highest degree through concentration, this sensitivity becomes a genuine reading of another's heart, not to pry, but to understand and help. In the path of yoga, knowledge of others is in service of compassion. Sutra 3:20. But one does not grasp what sustains that state, because it is not the object of contemplation. Patanjali immediately adds a clarification of rare intellectual honesty. One may know the state of another's mind, but not automatically the deep cause, the hidden content that sustains it, because that was not the object of the contemplation. It is a warning against presumption. Even the finest knowledge has its limits, and grasping an emotion does not mean knowing the whole story behind it. This is a wisdom that also knows its own boundaries. Sutra 3:21. By suspending the perceptibility of one's own body, one withdraws from the sight of others. Here Patanjali enters the territory of the extraordinary. By concentrating on the form of one's own body to the point of suspending its perceptibility, one can, he says, escape the gaze of others, become in a certain sense invisible. We may read this as a literal extraordinary capacity, or as an image of a more everyday truth. One who rests in deep inner stillness disappears, no longer seeks to be seen, no longer projects an image of themselves, and in this silence finds a freedom that those who live only to be noticed have never known. Sutra 3:22. By observing one's own actions and their signs, one can foresee the moment of one's own death. Our actions ripen like fruit, some quickly, others slowly. By turning total integration toward this process and toward the signs and omens that life sends us, one can, says Patanjali, sense the approach of one's own death. This is not morbidity, it is the supreme preparation. One who knows when the time is near can prepare, set things in order, take leave in peace, face the passage without terror. It is the highest form of that awareness of the end he spoke of in the second book. Sutra 3:23. By contemplating friendliness, compassion, and joy, one acquires their full strength. Patanjali recalls the four attitudes of the heart from the first book and tells us that by turning total integration toward them, one acquires their full strength. By concentrating on friendliness, one becomes truly friendly, on compassion, deeply compassionate, on joy, radiant with joy. This is a power different from the others and perhaps the most beautiful, the capacity to cultivate within oneself, all the way to the depths, the qualities of the heart. Even virtues can be trained, and a gathered mind makes them unshakable. Sutra 3:24. By contemplating a strength, one acquires its power. By concentrating on the strength of something, for instance the strength of a great animal, says Patanjali, one can acquire the corresponding power. This is the principle by which what we rest on with sustained and intense attention in some way shapes us. We become, a little, what we contemplate. This is why it matters so much to choose well where to place one's attention. A mind gathered on what is strong and noble takes on those qualities. Sutra 3:25. By turning the inner light outward, one comes to know what is subtle, hidden, or distant. Within us there is a light, the light of awareness. By projecting it outward through total integration, says Patanjali, one can come to know what normally escapes notice, things that are subtle, hidden, far away. It is a powerful image of true knowledge, not a light we receive from outside, but a light we radiate from within, capable of illuminating even what lies beyond the reach of the senses. The gathered mind becomes a lamp that brightens the dark. Sutras 3:26 through 3:29. By contemplating the sun, one comes to know the world, the moon, the order of the stars, the North Star, their movement, the center of the body, one's own constitution. Patanjali then offers a series of contemplations directed toward the cosmos and the body. By concentrating on the sun, one comes to know the worlds and their regions. On the moon, the arrangement of the stars, on the North Star, their movement. And by turning attention to the center of the body, the navel, one comes to know one's own constitution, the inner architecture of the organism. It is a compelling vision. The gathered mind is a universal instrument of knowledge, one that can direct itself toward the immensity of the sky and toward the microcosm of the body alike, and in both read the hidden order. Sutras 3:30 through 3:32. On the throat, hunger and thirst are calmed. In a certain channel, stability is found. In the light of the head, the great sages are glimpsed. The contemplations directed toward the subtle body continue. By concentrating on the hollow of the throat, says Patanjali, one can calm hunger and thirst. On a particular inner channel, one attains a great stability, physical and mental, motionless as a tortoise drawn into its shell. And on the light that is perceived in the head, one may have visions of great realized beings, of the masters. These are maps of an ancient inner anatomy, and beyond the details they speak to us of a body that is also a spiritual instrument, and of a mind that, when gathered, finds within itself unsuspected resources. Sutra 3:33. Or else all this knowledge arrives at once through pure intuition. And here Patanjali, after the long list of methods, opens a way that transcends them all. Sometimes, he says, all this knowledge arrives at once, without technique, through pure intuition like a flash of lightning that illuminates everything together. It is the gift of the most mature mind, in which wisdom is no longer won piece by piece, but flows out spontaneously, whole. It is a reminder that beyond every method there is grace, the moment when one simply sees, without needing to search any further. Sutras 3:34 through 3:36. By contemplating the heart, one comes to know the mind, and by distinguishing pure awareness from the intellect, one arrives at knowing the true self. Patanjali draws close to the heart of the matter. By turning total integration toward the center of the chest, toward the heart, one comes to know one's own mind deeply. And above all, by contemplating the fundamental difference between pure awareness and the intellect, between the one who observes and the instrument of seeing, one arrives at the highest knowledge of all, knowledge of one's own true self, that clear and free presence that we truly are. It is the return to the central theme of the entire book. All the powers pale before this one, knowing oneself in one's truest nature. Sutra 3:37. And yet all these powers, glorious for a mind turned toward the world, are obstacles on the path to freedom. And here is the warning that gives meaning to the whole chapter, one of the wisest sentences ever written. All these extraordinary capacities, says Patanjali, are indeed wonderful achievements for the mind still turned toward the world. But for one who seeks ultimate freedom, they are obstacles. Why? Because they can become a trap. One falls in love with the powers, grows proud, stops to play with the gifts instead of pressing on toward the goal. It is like a traveler heading to the sea who becomes entranced by the flowers along the road and forgets where he was going. Patanjali warns us gently, admire the flowers by all means, but do not stop. The goal is not to have powers. The goal is to be free. We have passed through the treasury of powers, the understanding of every language, knowledge of the past and of others, capacities relating to the body and the cosmos, and finally the knowledge of one's own true self. And we have received the most precious warning of all. None of these marvels is freedom, and all of them can become the final temptation. In the next chapter, Patanjali will complete the third book by showing us the highest powers and, above all, the one true destination to which they can lead, if we do not let ourselves be enchanted along the way. The detachment even from powers, which opens the gates of liberation.